I never felt one day that I would be useful to anyone, either to myself. I think I was 14 years of age when the desire came to do something. But I don't know what it is I was going to do either. Because not going to school when you're 14, what could you offer? What is it that you could offer that could be of any consequence? I didn't know. At 14, I was working for my grandmother. I worked from 14 to 20. Arrived in New Orleans, 1954. I was 20 years of age. Still want to do something for people. I became a merchant seaman. I didn't see where that connected. I became a steam engineer without going to school. I have an engineer license. I learned that on the job training. I went to California when I got so sick, I quit the ocean. I went to California. Found a man that healed me. Still a steam engineer for the county of Los Angeles. I told my friends and my colleagues that I was quitting my job to become a healer. They say, oh yeah, what you gonna heal? I say, every disease that they could bring to me. So yeah, man, you're 47 years of age and you're gonna quit your job but you have 10 years seniority? You only need 10 more years to go. And you could retire with a nice $1,500 a month wages in retirement. But I chose to follow my dictate. From 14 years of age until 47, I realized my dream. And I did something that I believe even until today, I am the only individual that has a vocation, a profession, or a trade that is ashamed to tell the world the benefit of that trade. You see, there is something that is missing in our society. There is something that has plagued us over 400 years. What plagued us is deceit. Deceit has plagued us. And that deceit had made us, all of us, to feel very insecure with the other, which means I can't trust you. Child, don't you trust anybody now? Because you know how people are, which is true. But we could never get to the root of the deceit. And I suppose that I may have told a lie or two in the past, compelled to tell a lie, which is embarrassing because you have to cover that lie. But we are compelled to do so. So this journey of mine is not my journey. It is my predilection. I left the most beautifulest woman in the world that I loved so very much. Her name was Marilyn Woods from Tennessee. When I told her that I was going to leave her, she asked if there was another woman. I said, no. It's these plants. And what does that have to do with our marriage? I said, you're not going to follow me because you met me as an engineer. I bought your house. You got Volvos every year. And I'm going to abandon all of that to go after nothing. I don't want you to suffer because I will suffer. I left that lady A week later, I left my job. I left everything. Now tonight I stand before you, about to tell you what has been accomplished, not by me, but by the entity that we all are indebted to, which is God, which is creation. But because of deceit, it is very difficult for us to accept truth. Truth today in our life has been expressed in 1,000 ways. What is truth in China isn't truth here. What is truth for the Alaska, not so for the Bedouin in the desert of Arabia. But there is a universal truth. That's God. But even God has so many different expressions. I'm a Muslim. I am a Christian. I am a Buddha. I am a Shinto. I am a Punjab. I am all of that. And we all say it all filters to God, which is good. Because if we were tied to that one entity we call God, then love would come out of either one of them. So therefore there would be no wars, because we are tied to God. If we all are tied to God, there could be no war, because God is love, not war. So again, we begin to see that something is wrong, because whatever religion we are, we find a need and a compelling thing to offend the other in the name of the God that we defend. So I knew that all of this was against me. So what happened? God placed something in me that I am ashamed to tell you what has been accomplished through the energy of God, not through me. Because I don't need no credit from you. I don't need no fame, because I don't need that. That doesn't make me happy. Your giving me credit doesn't make me happy. What makes me happy is that which comes from inside of me. You can't give me that. No one could give me that. But what I need from you is this. What you need from me, that is love. That's all I need from you. This message is not mine. Because the very substance that I use to heal, did I make them? Did I make this? No, God made this. So when you are healed and you give me the credit, you just forgot it was God that healed you, because he made the plants. But with these plants that God made, in 1979, a woman came from Mexico that was insane for 11 years, and she was killed. My friends thought that I was lying. Mr. Frederick came, and he was blind. He was blind for 11 years. He was seen in 2 days. Oh, I was lying again. When the young man came to me, or I was called from Washington, D.C., because there was someone that was suffering with AIDS, and he was cured, and I was telling people in New York and in Washington, D.C., you thought again that I was lying. But since I was prepared for the world, lies, I was shown that if I talk to you and you believe that this is a lie, well, I am not the one that's living the lie. It is you who disbelieve me that lives that lie. So every time that I saw that thing in your eyes that shows that you thought that I was lying, don't you ever believe that I was uncomfortable. Yes, I was comfortable, because I know that you were living a lie, and it was living that lie only because of disease. And that disease brings that doubt in us. We have no trust in one another anymore. So when truth appears, how are we going to receive it? What is it that we have inside of our being to receive that truth? I don't know. But I stand before you today at 65, feeling very healthy. I'm feeling very good. I didn't go to school to learn ABC or 1, 2, 3. I didn't go to kindergarten. I didn't read any books on how to win friends and influence people just to stand before you and talk. Haven't you heard many says, well, I can't talk because I'm very nervous. But what could make you nervous to talk to your brothers and your sisters? I mean, you talk to your husband, you talk to your wife. Why can't you talk to a group? Something in us, that fear that comes with the food that we eat. That was the violation all the time, but we couldn't see it. We cannot see it even now. So, in 1985, I decided to put the ad in the New York Post, the Amsterdam News, and the Village Voice that AIDS has been cured. What did I do that for? I had all of the healers in New York jumping all over me. They too thought that I was lying. When I was invited to WLIB to talk, I started talking about the injury that carrot affords the body. Once we ingest that substance, carrots are starch, carrots are dangerous. Everybody jumped on me. 2 years after the ad ran, I was taken to jail. Now there it is. Remember what I said, that truth today is very difficult for us to identify or to support, because the land in which we live is not supported by truth. So when truth comes, it is scary. It puts fear in you. Even when someone tells you the truth, it is scary as you want it to be. I was arrested. When they was putting the handcuffs on me, I asked the detectives, why are you arresting me? Because you claim to cure AIDS and sickle cell anemia and diabetes and lupus, herpes, and the rest. I said, sir, I ask you again, why are you arresting me? I know what I said. I want to know, why are you arresting me? And what was the answer? Because you said that. I said, but I know that. Why are you arresting me? Because the Supreme Court of New York said that you've been practicing medicine without a license, and that you're selling products not approved by the FDA and claiming to cure AIDS, which is a fraudulent claim. I say, how do you know that? Well, you will defend yourself in court. Now look at that. I tell the truth. I had to get a lawyer. I had to go to court. I had to defend myself. And after I won, now what? You still don't believe it. Because it is truth. You cannot sell truth in today's society. What you sell is a lie. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola sells more than any product that is American all over the world. Yet Coca-Cola would eat your liver. It would eat up your intestines and your esophagus. But it sells. Protein. Protein sells. Everybody has brags in his house. Why? Because I need my protein. My liquid protein. Another lie. Because when you ask the question, if protein is a necessary food, is it alive? Because food that nourishes these cells has to be alive and electrical. Protein has no electricity. When I take enzymes, when I take vitamins, always looking for a way to defend that which we think is true. How would we be able to identify truth? When the very environment that God placed us in, we do not live there any longer. We live in another environment. The food that God placed for us in that environment, that food we are not eating. Now, could any one of us begin to fathom the extent of the damage done by not ingesting those food and ingesting the food of another? Could any one of us could really fathom the extent of the damage done? Well, I'm going to begin to show us how we could begin to measure this damage. This is why this message that is about to be delivered this evening will be difficult. It will be difficult because when the African was making babies 500 years prior to slavery, the African didn't have chitlins in his diet. Neither did he have potatoes, sweet or Irish. He didn't have lamb. He didn't have chicken. He didn't have cheese. He didn't have no butter with biscuits. He didn't have any cake. Didn't have eggs. He didn't have any of the components that causes disease. This was not in his diet. So the quality of the babies that was born from that sperm, that baby was as healthy as God wanted to be. So you and I are the result of a sperm that had cheese, butter, eggs, alcohol, and cigarettes. Not talk about the drugs. Then they made love to our mother, and we are the product of that love. And then we have the nerve to tell each other that we don't have time for each other, that because she takes drugs, that she is not like me. Well, I'm not about a prostitute nor a drug addict. I am both. We have been violated. So that child is now on drugs, and you think it is her fault. The environment sperm that. That is the result of the environment in which we live. Because when we live in the environment that God gave us, there was no such thing as drugs. So why is she a drug addict and a prostitute? Is it God? No, it is the environment. Now, we are looking for healing. We want healing. We need healing. When the psychiatrists are looking as to the reason why they are shooing them up in the school, they are overlooking the food that they're eating. And how do I know? The crazy woman that was brought from Mexico? Well, all of us know that insanity should be treated to the nervous system. I gave her everything for the central nervous system that worked for other people. With her, it didn't work. My wife said from the kitchen, go to her guts. And when I went to her intestines, 2 days later, she was no longer insane, telling us that, yes, it is the food that we eat that makes us sick. But how many of us are qualified now to select from this planet the food that God made for us? None of us. We know about anthropology, history, Egyptology, paleontology, archaeology, all the ologies but life itself. Well, I didn't pay heed to none of the ologies. My eyes were focused on health, on well-being, not because I wanted to, but I could clearly see that what was being pursued in the 60s, all these historians with all these books, and now we find ourselves 39 years later, 1999, sick as could be. We are so sick that we don't even trust ourselves. So now the message is here, and all of us agree that everything is in divine order. Am I right? Of course we are right. In 1555 or in 1560, when our fathers were slaves here in America, did they know that chitlins was going to play havoc on themselves? No, they didn't know. They ate it because that's all they had. And we ate that food all the way from slavery until now. We eat chicken. We eat chitlins. We eat hog maws. We eat cheese. We eat butter. And these things are ungodly. God did not make a cow. Man did that. That's a hybrid animal. But now the message is here. How come the message is here? That we should not eat those things. And we know this to be a fact, because as we remove ourselves and we remove people from that diet, their pains, their joints, their knees, and everything begin to subside, all the pains. And one day, they are all gone. Why? Because we have returned to the food of God. And what is it that we are doing that is so fantastic, that is so over and above that what is being offered? We are only cleansing the system and giving you the herb that God made. See, many of the menus that you see on herbs, you find that they would say peppermint, cayenne pepper. Everyone has golden seal. And all these herbs were not made by God. The trick is to use only the herb that God made. Because in the Bible that we read, it says that the herbs are for the healing of the nations. So when it is said that in the Bible, then it says that something is wrong, because the herbalists of today are not healing anything. So what is the wrong? Is that they are not selecting from the repertoire that God made. They are selecting from what man made. Peppermint was made. Comfrey, aloe vera, garlic. Garlic was made. Yet you and I have been told for many, 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 many years that the best thing for pressure is garlic. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this. This journey is not a difficult one. It may be tedious, but to begin to heal the human body, as what we are doing at the Usha Research Institute, what we do is this. We cleanse the system. Every disease, we said to the Supreme Court, comes from one source. When the mucous membrane has been compromised, it stands to reason. Dr. Sebi just began this journey 27 years ago, and protein and vitamin, enzymes, and the rest was on the market long before we came, right? Well, if protein and vitamins were good, then why is it that we continue to be weak and sick? If aloe vera and comfrey and the rest that they offer, such as the peppermint and the cayenne pepper, were good, then why is it that disease is still progressing? Now, weren't we told that sickle cell anemia is incurable? Of course they said that. And then they go further to say that God gave us sickle cell anemia. And we even believe that. We believe everyone but ourselves. We believe every race in the world. Mr. Charles Gray was telling me today, when we were coming here, that he could see the reason why we have this fear in believing each other's, because it is easy for a white man to be a drunk on the street, and overnight he said that he's seen God and we follow him. It is true. So something was done to us for afford us to do that. Your brother stands before you today and you say, Dr. Sebi cure AIDS. You don't say the black race cure AIDS. You just single me out. I'm you no longer. But when the Chinese explode their bomb, they didn't say one man, they said the people, right? The Chinese people. And when they talk about the Russian going to the moon, they say the Russian people. And when the Japanese were doing research with AIDS, they say the Japanese people are doing research. But when your brother, Dr. Sebi, cure AIDS, you say he cure AIDS, not that we cure AIDS. That is how sick we are. It's not that we want to be sick, and it's not that you want to refuse me. We have been made to do that. You cannot help that. I'm going to show you some instances. In 1989, there was a big crave. 1990, all of the leaders in the United States supported a substance they called Kimron. Am I right? And they said that Kimron was the panacea to AIDS. Didn't cure anyone. Didn't cure anyone, but they supported it, right? And that Qimron was made right here in the United States. Qimron is a compound made from interferon and AZT, made right here. No Kenya, no Africa. But it was supported by the professional protesters and the leaders. Dr. Sebi and the Usha Research Institute showed documentation, showed diagnostic procedures from laboratories that yes, he cured AIDS. Did they support it? No. They asked me, have you seen Minister Farrakhan? I said, I heard of the minister. Well, why don't you go and see him? I said, I can't do that. He said, why? I said, you see, you're not seeing my position. My position is not one that reigns wherever that fan is at. My position is way down there. My son told me one day, sir, that I'm in the wrong profession. He said, Daddy, you have to fight to keep the rent paid, yet you're curing people of sickle cell anemia and broken bones. And you have to fight to feed us, yet you messed up, Dad, because Mike Tyson, he broke their jaws, and he get millions, and they have to come to you to heal their jaws, and you get pennies. So that is the society in which we live. You pay someone millions to break somebody's jawbone, and the one that repaired the jawbone gets pennies. That is the time in which we live. So this thing about Qimron had to be that way. It was made in America, so they supported Qimron. They cannot support me. So when I said about Minister Farrakhan, I said, he's way up there, and I'm way down there. How could you expect for a man with the image of Minister Farrakhan way up there to come to a brother like me who's way down there? You have never seen that, sir. But I give thanks to God that my position remained way down there. So I have no place to fall from. I'm already way down there. So in other words, someone that has reached such a high level cannot reach all the way down, because if he does that, then he's saying that his position wasn't that quite credible, isn't it? You see? And people don't do those things. They prefer to die. You don't do that. It's like a country in power giving up the power to another. That doesn't happen. You have to fight it. You have to win it with war. So that is what's going on. And what is going on for me is that when I set out in front of the Supreme Court, I told them that there's only one disease. And that disease is what? Mucus in the system turned to pus. And I come, cleanse it out, and then revitalize the cells. This has been argued, this methodology, right here in Philadelphia. Her name is Zadia Ife. I don't know who here knows Zadia. Raise your hands. She's from right here. Zadia had myasthenia gravis. Degeneration of the cells of the brain. The doctor said she would never walk again normally, and that she would progressively get worse. 6 months after the treatment, Zadia was walking normally. And Zadia told me a story a month ago in Los Angeles that they had cut her thymus gland out, but it grew back. So when we talk about cell regeneration, a gland grew back. She's writing a paper on it right now as we speak. How was all this accomplished? It was accomplished because truth was in front of my eyes, and I was able to identify truth. Not that I'm the owner of truth. No, I'm a servant of truth. The best, I could say. So we clean the cells, whether you have leukemia, sickle cell anemia, whatever disease. It is mucus concentrated to cause that disease. So how could all these diseases be cured by just giving everyone the same compound? Well, common sense. We go away from philosophy, put philosophy away, and just look at reality and God, that which is natural. And we find that it's very simple. It's very easy. You stop eating the garbage to begin with. But now, as we begin to think about the garbage that bring the disease in the first place, that brought the disease in the first place, then we begin to question, are we qualified to leave the garbage? It's like going home this evening. And you say, when we open that refrigerator, now Dr. Sebi said that this, all this is bad. Now what are we going to do? What are you going to eat? We don't know. We don't know. But what we did know, what we do know now, that that stuff in the refrigerator was not made by God and that it was not made for us. This is why our brothers and myself, we brothers, suffer with prostate cancer, prostate inflammation, nerve problem, impotence, and a whole bunch of other stuff very young. Then we begin to hide our disease like it is ours, like no one else should know about this, because this is embarrassing to even talk about it. No. When I was impotent, I cried out loud, hey fellas, I'm impotent, who could help me? Because I don't have that thing they call shame. Sisters too. Many times I sit with you sisters and I ask, do you have vaginal discharge? Well, sometimes. No, it's all the time. It's all the time. But there again, that's not yours either. That's the food that was afforded to you. In the Supreme Court, I asked the judge, if God made food special for gorillas, special for polar bears, special for orangutans, special for birds, and not all birds eat seed, some eat snakes and meat. So if God made specific food for specific animal, God made also specific food for plants. This is a burdock leaf. You appeal to burdock for what? For iron. You don't appeal to burdock for magnesium. Magnesium is in trace mineral here, but iron is predominant. So there's a food for this plant. So I asked the judge, well, if the plant, the animal, the birds has specific food that feed their cells, what about Homo sapiens? Are we exempt from that natural cosmic law? She said, no. I said, well, when you removed the Africans from Africa, did you bring his food with him? She said, no. So you see, so when you said that I like my ham, that's not your ham. That's not your chicken. That's not your biscuits. That is something that we have been conditioned to eat. And because we have been conditioned to eat those things, it makes love difficult to come out. When I talk to my wife about the girl, what's wrong with you? You know, it's never a situation where it is always pleasant, regardless to what happened. And I suppose that once upon a time I was there, but I don't remember being there after 30. And after 30 was when I began to, a lot of children was born to me. I think about 15 of them. So I began to compare myself as a father before this change with these herbs, this health that I'm experiencing now. As I go back into my life, I remember once picking up a belt, but I don't remember if I hit the child or not. But I do know this, that all of my children from 30 until 65, I don't even think about raising a belt. But you see, there was a change in the house. With me, there was a new wife in which she came up with me, and there was no milk in the house. There was no cheese, there was no butter, there was no eggs, and there was no breakfast. My son told me the other day that 19 years he is now gone by, and that he's going to sue me because he will sue me for child abuse because in his 19 years he never had a breakfast. See, we just didn't have breakfast. It was easy. So the children that came up in that environment just grow up, and they're free children. And I'm going to mention one of them, go on. Her name is Nia. She is the daughter of a friend of mine in Los Angeles. And as I talk about Nia, I'm seeing my 4-year-old daughter and another one in Chicago named Mariama. These 3 little girls has something in common. They sucked their mother's breast for 4 years. Nia, when she's 3 now. You ask her, Nia, how old are you? I'm 3 years old. I was born in 1996, the 30th of May. What else you want to know? We take Nia to Oakland. Carelessly, we walk into the store, and this woman said, you're so cute. Such a beautiful little girl. And Nia is very beautiful. She hands the beautiful little girl a candy. And Nia said, I don't eat that. That's against my diet. 3 years of age. All right? My daughter's the same way, and Mariama is even worse. I could go anywhere with these 3 little girls. I won't have no problem. And what they had is that all 3 of them stopped using the bathroom in their diaper at age 1. Why? They didn't have those things that makes a child weak, that interferes, that brings disease. Most babies pass feces in the diapers even when they're 3 years of age. Not these 3. So I intend to go to Honduras in a couple of days. I'm going to go back to Los Angeles to take my little girl with me that she could see Nia, because Nia sent her a picture. They want to know each other's. Now, these 3 little girls are the example of what we have to do that I didn't receive when I was a child. Look at the journey. The journey is beautiful. If I, Sebi, at 30, being impotent with diabetes, weighing 291 with glasses, and I was able to retrieve my life from that age until now, all of us in this church could do it this evening. Sure, we could do it. All we need is love from one another and understanding. And that is what Mr. Charles Gray is trying to generate here in, well, he's in New Jersey, right, in Camden. We're trying to create a family of health, because all of those things that was afforded us, vitamins, enzymes, protein, it ain't cutting it. It's not getting it at all. May I have some of the products, please? So it's not getting it at all, because we're still weak, we're still sick. So Nia, Saama, and Mariama, the mother said to me one day, wouldn't it be nice if Nia, Saama, and Mariama meets a little boy that likewise his mother did not afford him any soy milk, cow milk, cheese, butter, and eggs? That's okay. It would be nice, because the quality of their baby would be superior to that of the sperm that made us. But then, like everything is in divine order, there was a reason why we had to go through this journey. We cannot curse ourselves, because if we say on one hand that God wills everything, well, Jesus was on the cross. Should we be angry? No. God wills everything. So there must have been a reason why we were the sacrifice up until that point. Now with this new message of God, is showing, hey, we could be healthy. And we don't have to be angry at each other. We could afford to give love. But to give that love and to live in that peaceful world, we have got to change that diet. You're not going to do it eating hog maws. It's impossible. This is why all these people that goes to see these spiritual readers and all the stuff, look at what those people eat. See, once you are awake, in other words, they cannot hoodwink us. So what we're saying here, that the Usha research on Dembele has gone to the forest to produce this for you. This is the new product. This product enters the body, and unlike most products that is offered to you, this one here assimilates immediately because it is electrical. This is a product known as BioElectro 1. It is sold in company of BioElectro 2. But if you want to buy one by itself, it gives you energy. BioElectro 1. BioElectro 2, which is the partner, you could get that. The boat goes like this. One is for the intestines to clean out. The other one is to give you energy. It is not designed to cure any disease, but it would certainly change the course of your life overnight without a shadow of a doubt. These two. What you could even do is to make me out a liar. Buy it, hold it. Go to the health food store and buy vitamin A, B, C, D until Z. Take those things for 2 months. At the ending of 2 months, you take this. And what you're going to feel in 24 hours, they would not have afforded you in 2 months. Why? Because you didn't know that the product that is supposed to give you energy has to be composed of the same elements or minerals as does the human body. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And only God made those. This is another one. This is the Maya Electra. They look alike on the label, but there's a writing here that distinguishes one from the other. This one, to me, is next to this one. This one, you're going to hear the story. Remember what we said, that God made food for a plant, specifically for plants. Each plant has a different food. Birds, eagle eats meat, not a sparrow, not a hummingbird. He sucked the nectar from the flower. Gorillas, he eats leaves. Polar bear, he eats seal and blood. Homo sapiens is making a mistake someplace, somewhere, because among the animals, there are some that are carnivorous and some that are herbivorous. But among Homo sapiens, everybody eats meat. Something is wrong. Because if among the animals and plants, you could see a distinct food for each cellular structure, well, how come Homo sapiens are exempt from that same law? There are no vegetarians among the Homo sapiens. How I found out that black people should be vegetarians, because when I begin to remove you from that meat and that stuff, that grease, you begin to say in 1 week how the pain that you had for years begin to disappear. But then the body's already weakened. I am now 65, so I don't have the energy like I used to have, boy. I'm like, I'm not a young man anymore. You're not young anymore. Well, I'm 66. You're just 65, Egbert. Man, but you, man, you are, yeah, man, you. Then he's my friend from small. Ever since we were 5, I know Egbert. But Egbert at 65 is old. But he doesn't have to be that. Why? Because Egbert didn't have the openness to accept like I did. Egbert went to school. Egbert got a master's degree. And Egbert knew that I didn't go to school. So Egbert used his master's degree to decipher everything I had to say, and it didn't fit. So therefore, I was dumb. So at 30, I found someone that spoke to me, and I didn't believe that he was lying. I delivered myself to Alfredo Cortez, and 90 days later, I didn't have any disease. I didn't eat anything. I believe what he said. He said, don't eat for 90 days. All of you would say, what? Don't eat for 90 days? Then how am I going to live? How are you going to live? The stuff you eat is killing you. So if you just stop eating it, that's a plus. That's a plus in itself, because it's killing you. Stop it. What is a good breakfast? 3 glasses of water or 4. Why? Because that's electrical. So when Egbert walked, and Egbert didn't have food from the day he was born, I was fortunate that at 30 I met someone that introduced me to food, to God food. So I got iron in large quantities, and that is the mineral that is consistent with us, the black people. Iron. The doctors tell you that you're not supposed to take iron because it would bind you. He is 100% right, providing the iron is ferrosulfate. It will bind you. But if it is the iron that God made that we use in our compounds, it gives you energy. It makes you, hey, I could do more work and I'm not tired. Well, of course, the body needs energy. And you could only get energy from the substance that God made, not from aloe vera, not from comfrey, not from peppermint, golden seal, garlic. These are all man-made products, and you didn't know it. No, we didn't know it. Because if we had, we would not offer that. Now, you know something? Somebody is being caught with a hand in the cookie jar. Go read the herbal books that our brothers wrote. And in all of them, they got garlic. Boy, they're in trouble. Because after you have read these books and have not received from these books any cure, and then you have these things in there that doesn't work, what is he going to do now? Is he going to tell you guys, I'm sorry? What saved me from saying I'm sorry is that Mrs. Holloman is a woman that I was treating in Los Angeles. I was a very young healer, maybe a year into it. I'm rubbing her legs with the salve. This salve works for anything. Rest assured, headaches, backaches, even stretch marks, you remove them. Hemorrhoids, just name it. This salve works. So I'm rubbing her legs, and the circulation began to reestablish. She said to me, what am I going to eat? I said, drink penny carrot juice, drink beet juice, drink celery juice. And the woman said, stop. She said, son, you know how old I am? I said, yes, ma'am, you're 94. She said, well, I didn't get to 94 being stupid. She said, I didn't get to 94 being stupid. And what you just told me was something very stupid. I said, why, man? Or the book says that garlic is a food, and so is the celery, and so is the carrots. You mix them together. She said, son, those things are made. I said, what, man? Made by who? It come out of the ground, man. God made everything that come out of the ground. No, son. She said, no, that's why you're crazy. Don't do that right now. Don't say that. I said, but man, all the book says it. I said, that's what the book says. That's what Miss Holloman is telling me. That's what the book says. God ain't saying that. And that's true. She said, what you do? Don't tell anyone that you heal her. Stop. Just stop. Stop doing what you're doing, because you don't want anyone in the future to do this. You told me something wrong. Don't do it. When I was working as a steam engineer, I was doing this on the side. So she told me to go to the University of Arizona, Department of Agriculture, Industrial Agriculture, Plant Husbandry. I went to UCLA, I went to Minnesota, I asked for books. that was related to the subject of agriculture. And guess what I found? That everything you find in the supermarket was made. They have 666 varieties of apple. They have 32 varieties of cucumber. Rice, they have about 25 varieties of rice. But you know what we didn't know? Is that anything that has starch, God didn't make. And do you know that everything that man made has starch in it? Whether it is collard greens or mustard greens or whatever. Because God could not have made something with starch. Because God would be making something to offend the people that he so loved. God doesn't do that. So this iron that we all need, I was recommending it. We have it in two forms, see? This bottle and this little capsule. I were in Los Angeles, and I had seen all of the patients. My compound had ran out. All I had was a case of iron and one little bottle of cleanser. A man called and said how sick he was and that he was on the way. Didn't give me the chance to tell him, look, I don't have anything else. The man came, but by the time that he left his house to get to me, I was on 82nd Street in Crenshaw in Los Angeles. I done designed something in my head. He sat down, he said he had poor circulation. His back was hurting him. High pressure. Seldom went to the bathroom. And when he walked, he said he didn't walk straight. He would, like, he wanted to sway. That happens when the eardrum is clogged and you're losing your balance because the head is clogged. Me and my ingenuity, I told the man, I want you to take one bottle of this a day. A whole bottle. One a day for 10 straight days. This is iron, sir. And you're going to take this out in a bottle only at night. On the third day, what this man told me on the third day of taking the third bottle, I have not heard from any one of you who have taken all the compound for a disease. This man was rampant and raving. Look, the man didn't know what to tell me, brought all his friends together to come and buy this medicine that I gave him. So it was until 3 years later, I want to know why this man was rapping and raving and giving me all these praises, because I gave him only iron. When I go back and do my homework again, review my papers and my notes, I forgot that iron, the lack of, deficient of, causes 40 manifestations of disease, because the body begins to lose energy. The immune system begins to give way. There is no oxygen going to the brain now because iron is low. And it is iron that conveys oxygen to our brain. I said, oh God. That's why we wrinkle so young. Is that why we begin to lose energy and begin to walk over a little bit? We don't walk straight no more. You see, we don't notice when we're doing this until we're way down here, you know? But we gradually bend because iron has dropped below that level that the body desires to be. Iron has been omitted from our diet for 500 years. When all of you that came to see me, I would recommend that you take 2 tablespoons 3 times a day. And even the 2 tablespoons 3 times a day, you feel, hey, I'm back alive. But look what I'm doing. I'm only giving you that which is going to be consumed in that day. So this man showed me how deficient we are in iron. And from that day onwards, I told my wife, I said, Ma, whenever someone asks for a treatment, please tell them the importance of iron. And if they could afford it, to spend that other money, which is about $200, but what you're going to receive is more than you're going to be able to convey to your friends that you feel. Why? Because when I recommend 2 tablespoons 3 times a day, that is the iron that you would have used up in that day. But then you go back down again, you got to take some more again and take some more, and you go back up. I understood why this man told me on the 3rd day he was only sleeping 2 hours. And he had all this energy. And that he was having sex again. The man was 78. And he was happy. That's long before Viagra. So what was happening? The man was replenishing the reservoir. Say the reservoir is from the tip of this mic down to this Bible. Our reservoir of iron is way down here. So when I give you 2 tablespoons, this is going to be consumed in 1 day. But if I give you a bottle a day for 10 days, you are raising now the level of the reservoir. So by the time you get up here, all you have to take now is what? 2 tablespoons 3 times a day, because the reservoir is high. I figured that one out, and I've been doing that ever since. So I'm saying that to you, brothers and sisters. If you have that, you know, that backache when you wake up in the morning and all the other stuff, when you buy a bottle of Maya, yes, it may cost you $25, but I tell you what you're going to receive for $25, you would not receive for $375 anyplace else. It is iron fluorine, not ferrous sulfate. It is electrical. It is made from the finest earth from the tropics. The salve, well, what could I say about the salve? I named the salve the Eva salve. Why Eva? Eva Britt, Washington, D.C. Eva was in a wheelchair, stiff. She was stiff. She could walk. She was in a chair, laying down. For 28 years, from age 12 till age 40. I began giving her the compounds internally. I began to put the salve on her joints. Rheumatoid arthritis. At the ending of 3 months, Eva said that her joints was paining her exactly the same way they pained her when she was going into the disease. So she knew something was happening. 1 year later, Eva got out that chair and was walking completely. It was a year, but she's walking now. And she went back to school and got a law degree. I named the salve after her. So Eva said one day to me, Dr. Sebi, now that I could stand up in front of the mirror and see myself, she said, I took the salve and I put it on a cyst that I had on my breast, and in 14 days it was gone. Another woman called in and asked, what do you have for hemorrhoids? I said, I don't have anything for hemorrhoids. She said, your salve. I said, well, how do you know? I put it in my hemorrhoid, the pain was gone. And it went right back up. And it's been 10 days now, I have no problem. A dentist called and asked, what do you have for mouth lesions? I said, nothing. Yes, you do. I'll put your salve in my patient's mouth. Mouth lesion disappear in 24 hours. Try it and you see. That salve. Why these herbs work? Because of a simple thing. Knowing the plants that God made. The last one is the hair food. This hair food is made from a plant from the forest of Honduras.